Good morning. And welcome to the Universitarian, Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. I did it. I'm done. I'm good. No. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you, the whole of you. My name is Isaac Elias, and I am the lay leader today. Our Sunday services are as diverse as we are, so if you are visiting our church for the first time, please do come back several times before drawing any conclusions about us. Newcomers and guests are always welcome to participate in any of our church activities. If we have any newcomers or guests with us this morning, we invite you to introduce yourselves. Please raise your hand and someone will bring you a mic to introduce yourself if you'd like to. So anybody, any hand raisers? No, all hands down. All right. We're glad everybody's here. It's a nice full house. Please join us for coffee hour following the service, and please stop by the Connections Corner in the back there for more information about UUCNH. It is good to be together both in person and virtually.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you all did it better for him. But that's okay. And oh my goodness, I just loved seeing so many beautiful faces on this really bitter, cold morning. And as I was standing here, sorting things out for a moment before we started, something came to my mind, and I might not do it exactly right, but some of you will know this and do it with me. Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open the doors and see all the people. It's surprising what pops out from your childhood at moments, right? And I'm blessed to be able to share that with you, so thank you so much. I'm Lee Anne Washington, and I'm so very pleased to be serving as the minister of this beloved community we call the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. Our Soul Matters worship theme for January is living through the practice of story. And it's a theme that is very near and dear to my heart and is the foundation of how I, as I have matured through the years, have learned to look at my life and to try to understand other people. Because you really don't know someone until you know their story. And there isn't anything in our lives that isn't impacted by the circumstances and the events, the celebrations, the joys, the sorrows, the challenges, frustrations, disappointments, connections that we have experienced throughout our lives. They sort of accrete, right? We start as infants with a blank slate. And then we build our story little by little, day by day, interaction by interaction, experience by experience. So in celebration of that fact, I hope you will enjoy that we are going to do 3 services that touch on different aspects of storytelling and stories. I don't think I've done a series here yet. And this is a series of congregational experiences prompted by me more than a series of lectures or sermons by me, because I think developing our stories, hearing each other's stories, learning through story is a personal experience. So I'll be adding some insights and guidance along the way, but this month we are going to have kind of different formats for our services. And then in February, with the help of my good friend Jeff Coleman, we are going to come up with sort of a survey where you can share with us, the leadership, your experiences. What did you think about it? How often might you be willing to do such things? You know, we have long been saying that doing church kind of needs to change a little bit, that the standard format of basically singing a few songs, lighting a chalice, hearing a sermon has gotten a bit stale in today's interactive society. So we're going to experiment. So for anyone for whom this becomes uncomfortable, I'm sorry that you are feeling uncomfortable, and please feel free to come and talk to me about that. But this is finite. I'm here to assure you this is a January experiment. We'll go back to things as they are as they have been in February, largely informed by your comments and responses, because I'm here to serve you, not to dictate what we do on Sunday morning, but to be responsive to your needs, your interests, your creativity. So wanted to lay the groundwork for that this morning. You know, we know our own stories. We think of them as true. And I have just a short little vignette to share with you. So I went through a difficult time as a young attorney. I was working for the Department of Justice. I was doing a lot of really good work in the antitrust division. My senior attorney, the one in charge, was having some real mental health issues and some unfortunate events happening in his family. So he was kind of hands-off. And after 3 years of doing this, I kind of had gotten the knack of it. So I was pretty much doing the job. And he was checking in every now and then just to make sure I was doing it according to protocol and plan. And that was all fine, but the chief of my section, didn't have a very good track record for promoting women. And he didn't want to see all the work that I had done. And so he passed me over. So I made a little bit of a fuss. And then I left for private practice. I won my fuss. I was offered a promotion. But I was so disgusted with the whole scenario that I just decided to take up an offer that had been extended to me by a private practice, and I left the government. I found the file about 6 months ago or so, as you know, I've been downsizing for a while, that contained all the correspondence. And the recollection that I have of that experience and who said what and how things happened is different than what's in that file. Much to my surprise, what I've just told you is absolutely true, but there are details about how that happened that I have totally forgotten. Maybe like the evaluation of my work. Totally forgot the details of what had been presented and then how I had responded. So I would tell the story with details a little differently today than I would have a year ago or 2 years ago, right? The stories we tell ourselves, the story we make up from our experience, we think of them as true. True may not always be exactly factual. Right? Mostly those two things align, but sometimes not so closely. We view our lives through the lens of these stories. We bring our experiences with us. We have implicit biases. We have prejudices that we are unaware of that are based in our own experience and our own interpretation of our experiences. We make judgments about ourselves and others based on these stories. But what if our stories aren't the only stories? What if there really is more than one side to every story? And what happens when we listen to each other's stories? That's what we'll be exploring this morning. Now let us join in worship.
The flaming chalice is a symbol of our faith. As we join with other UU churches and fellowships in this familiar ritual, as we share the light of the chalice in our sanctuary, we also welcome those of you viewing remotely to light a chalice. For the stories that long to be told and retold, for the stories that long to be imagined and reimagined, for the stories that long to be envisioned and celebrated, we light this chalice. May its flame bring the light of different truths, different paths, and different voices, all needed to cultivate a transformative story of justice, love, and beauty. Please rise in body or in spirit as you are willing and able, and join in singing our opening hymn, number 346 in the gray hymnal. It's gray hymnal, I think. Come sing a song with me. The words will also appear on the screens.
Song
invite our youngsters to come forward and our young at heart. Our Time for All Ages story is the true story of the Three Little Pigs, written by John Chesko. Cheska. Rhymes with Fresca. And illustrated by Lane Smith, which will be read by Robin Travers.
So I only wanted to read this book because I kind of think it's one of the best books. One of the best kids' books. It makes me laugh out loud. So I just kind of was like, can I read it? So do you guys know the story Three Little Pigs? Right? Okay. So Three Little Pigs, wolf comes, huffs and puffs and blows the straw house down. And then he blows down the twig house, right? The sticks house. But then he can't blow down the brick house, right? Because it's so big, right? So in that story, who's the bad guy? The wolf, right? Well, in this book, the wolf says he's not the bad guy. He's just misunderstood. So this is the story of the Three Little Pigs as told by a wolf. Okay. So everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story. Nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm Wolf. Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. And I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault that wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably call you a big bad wolf too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to my neighbor to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, my neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built a whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in their right mind builds a house out of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without my cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile was the first little pig. Dead as a doornail, I swear. He'd been home the whole time. Well, it seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying around, so I ate it up. Think of it as a cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother, and he was a little smarter, but not much. He had a house of sticks. I rang the bell at the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs of my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt a sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but the guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail, I swear. Wolf's honor. Now, you all know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. And the second helping, I was getting awfully full, but my cold was a little better, and I still didn't have a cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family, so he built the house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house, no answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what the rude little porker answered? Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again. Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar in there. And he probably wouldn't even give me 1 cup from my dear, sweet granny's old birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe have a nice birthday card, and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of the cake, when I felt the cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. And then the little pig yelled, "Your granny can go sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down the pig's door. And the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. And the rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out that the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? Okay, so we're going to sing the children out to the RE classes. The words will be on the screen. You okay? Do you like that story, or was it not time?
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Mother Nature has bestowed upon us the beauty of snow to make the bitter cold palatable. We begin our meditation this morning with the choir singing Glow by Eric Whitaker, after which we will have 3 minutes. Someone took my timer. Well, I'll watch the clock. You know, I had that little sand timer. 3 minutes of quiet meditation after we enjoy the choir's performance of Glow. So get comfortable, close your eyes, or find a point of focus, take a few deep breaths, and center yourselves. Please return to the room. So I introduced the idea that we all have our own prejudices and biases based on our own experiences that sometimes we are unaware of. Sometimes we're aware. Sometimes we know that we don't like something because of a prior experience we had where we were harmed or hurt in some way. Either we don't like some experience, we don't like some food, we don't like to participate in certain activities, and we can name right off the bat what it is that makes us feel that way. And then there are those more subtle biases, which is why it might surprise you to know that the least reliable evidence in court is eyewitness testimony. Years ago, I, on an annual basis, went to the Maggie Walker Governor's School, which is in Richmond, Virginia. It is a magnet school for students who have tested into this particular school. It focused primarily on STEM and had a forensics course. And I was invited to come and do one session with the high school students. And I did several exercises, one of which was get them in like a big circle and send a bag around and ask them to put their hand in the bag without looking at it, to touch it, feel it, kind of figure out what it is, and then pass it on to the next person. So then I would ask, what is it? And no one had any trouble identifying it as a toy motorcycle. And then I said, now tell me when you realized that it was a toy motorcycle, that it was a motorcycle, what image popped in your head? Like, what kind of motorcycle? And so people popped out brand names that they knew. They had a family member who had the motorcycle with that brand name, or they themselves had a motorcycle with that brand name. So there are 3 or 4 brand names of motorcycles that popped out. And then it was like, well, what color is it? Black, red, orange. It was interesting. And then I asked them, did they have any special markings? And they could all describe what a motorcycle looks like to them. And that's the template against which they would have measured seeing a motorcycle in some sort of situation where they needed to describe what happened. So we all have those templates. We all have standard understandings of like what a van looks like. To my daughter, they're all red because my van's red, right? So I was trying to find a good story to illustrate this in adult interactions. And I was getting a little frustrated because I had limited time and I wasn't really finding what I wanted. So I asked ChatGPT to help me out. I promised you I would let you know. And I did. And so here is the situation that ChatGPT with appropriate prompts came up with, and I thought it was pretty good, so I'm going to share it with you. Mark had always been a quiet, reserved man, someone who preferred books and solitude to the bustle of social gatherings. One evening at a company dinner, he found himself seated at a table with several colleagues. They were discussing the latest project, and as the conversation turned to a controversial decision, Mark, in his usual thoughtful manner, offered his opinion. I think it's important to prioritize the long-term sustainability of our goals, even if it means facing short-term challenges, he said, his voice calm but firm. A few of his coworkers, however, misunderstood Mark's tone and stance. They interpreted his words as a critique of the team's work, as though he were subtly accusing them of being short-sighted. His calm demeanor, coupled with his quiet nature, only fueled their assumptions. To some, it seemed like he was positioning himself as morally superior, trying to distance himself from the group. Whispers started circulating. Mark was being condescending, aloof, and judgmental, all because his perspective had been perceived through the lens of their personal biases. What his colleagues didn't know was that Mark was simply trying to offer a well-reasoned suggestion based on his own experience and values. His silence and tendency to keep to himself were often misread as arrogance, when in fact, he was simply introspective and cautious. He didn't want to criticize anyone, but he just believed in the importance of considering the bigger picture. His reserved nature, combined with his differing approach, had been taken by others negatively and made them feel uncomfortable and defensive. The next day, Mark noticed the change in how people interacted with them. Colleagues who once greeted him warmly now avoided eye contact or kept their distance. Unbeknownst to him, he had been misjudged in a way that had nothing to do with his true intentions. It was a stark reminder of how easy it was for others to interpret one's actions through their own biases and how quickly a simple, well-intentioned comment could be twisted into something entirely different. How many of you have had something similar happen to you over the course of your lives? Yeah, look at that. Okay. So, here's what we're going to do for a little while this morning. Each of you received a number. Which indicates a table. You know, I had this whole thing written out, and then I've lost it. So here we go. Each of you received I set this up, so I should be able to tell you without looking at notes, right? A number, which indicates a table. There are 6 spots at each table. When you were there, you were going to be given 10 minutes as a group to consider one question, the first question, and to share about it. And then prompted for the second 10 minutes, it's a duo question for you to answer, going around the circle. And of course, passing is always completely okay here. It's totally okay to just simply say pass. The most important thing, there are 2 important elements to this. One is the introspection of thinking about this for yourself. And the other is the connections that we make when we share and the better understandings we have of each other when we share. But I'm not asking you to share the deepest, darkest secret in your life, okay? That's not what this is supposed to be about. But if you can recall in your history, let's see, where are the 2 questions? They're on the table, but they aren't up here. The first one is basically, can you think of a situation where you were misunderstood? The second and third questions are, and what would you like to have happened as a result of that experience? Like in that moment, in that experience, what would you have liked to have happened? And has that at all made you more open to the possibility that you yourself or others might misinterpret someone else's action? And to discuss that. Okay, so look at your numbers and I will tell you where your tables are. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are here in this room. You'll see the round tables in the far corners. 5, 6, 7, and 8 are in Friendship Hall. 9, 10, and 11 are in the East Room. The library is 12. And the silo room upstairs is 13, 14, and 15. Now, we've tried to make space so you're not on top of each other, but you are sharing space. So please moderate your tones and your interactions accordingly to make sure that the hubbub doesn't just, it tends to just rise and rise and rise and rise. So I just ask you to be sensitive to that. And if you will go now, we will prompt you for the second half. The questions are on the tables, so you don't have to remember the questions. They're on the tables. Yes, ma'am? All right.
If you don't have a number, raise your hand.
Then get one in the back.
Yeah, the ushers in the back will get you a number. What's your sense of timing, like how long
It's going to be 20 minutes.
this whole thing's going to be? 20
It's going to be 20 minutes. So it's going to be going a little late, but that's okay. Well,
Okay. So that'll
they get 10
be bringing people back
yeah.
at about
20 of.
okay.
So we'll have 10 minutes to close the service, which I think we can do pretty well. And we usually do it. We're not doing announcements, for instance. No, and we're not doing share the plate the way we normally do. That's out.
Okay. Share the plate.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're inviting them to share on their way out.
Perfect. All right.
So I think we can do it.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, maybe 5 minutes over, but I think we can do it.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I'm going to go to table 5.
Okay. All right. No. Who, Jeff Coleman? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I asked that they be put on every table. I don't know how that got missed. Isaac, they didn't seem to get the questions on their table. Robin had them to pass around. I don't know.
For timing, it's probably going to
Okay.
take 5 minutes to bring everything back.
I know. Yeah, okay. So it is what it is. Yes, I know. We're getting them. Everybody else got them. I don't know how you got overlooked, but Isaac has gone to get them. The first question is, have you had an experience like that? You can go ahead and start. Where you were misunderstood. Your actions or a statement was misunderstood. If you haven't turned to the second and third questions, please do so. In about 5 minutes, we're going to ring a bell for everyone to come back into the sanctuary. be quiet. I love the enthusiasm.
Hello, I'm Inga Burton-Smith from the Lay Pastoral Care Team. During our service, we create this sacred space for sharing within our community. It is a time to share significant life passages within the congregation so that you may be held in loving care. I'll be reading the joys and sorrows, and Chris Hill will be placing a stone representing each joy or sorrow in the sand. The sand represents our congregation supporting our sorrows and lifting up our joys. Today we had a number of sorrows and concerns. From the family of Jackie Richards, Jackie has been placed in hospice care. To Jackie and her family we say, we are holding you in our hearts. From Pam Weaver, a sorrow. My mother, Shirley Gilmore, almost 93, passed away on December 22nd. She broke her hip a year ago and wasn't able to fight off an infection that developed. Her funeral service is scheduled for January 18th at Davis Weaver Funeral Home in Clarksburg, West Virginia. Pam has been unable to attend church over the past year due to caring for her mother, but she hopes to return in February. To Pam and her family we say, we are holding you in our hearts. From the family of Sue Duda, a sorrow. Sue passed away on January 8th. A member of UUCNH for many years, Sue served as treasurer and was active in the craft group. Although her funeral and internment are private, visitation will take place at Devlin Funeral Home in Ross Township on January 15th. To Sue's family we say, we are holding you in our hearts. From Joyce and Al Kepner, a sorrow. Prayers for all those in the vicinity of the fires in the Los Angeles area. Our son Ben and daughter-in-law Lizzie are currently safe from the fires. They experienced several stressful days in their home in Mid-City, LA from the smoke. The air quality index reached 450 at one point. They are currently staying with relatives in Simi Valley just north of the fire and keeping an eye on the Palisades fire in case they need to evacuate. To Joyce and Al we say, we are holding you in our hearts. We now place one more stone in the sand for all the joys and sorrows that exist in our hearts but remain unspoken today. From far and near, please say with me these caring words which are on your screen. Let us hold in our circle of caring each person here. Let us hold in our hearts those who are unable to be with us today. Let us hold in our memories those who have moved on. Let us find comfort in knowing that we are not alone.
Now we'll do the closing hymn. I switched it up on the Wrangler, so this is my fault. But I now invite you to rise in body or in spirit as you're willing and able, and join in singing our closing hymn, This Is My Song, number 159 in the gray hymnal. I have this, Marcia. Please rise as you are willing and able and join in singing the closing hymn. Just wait for it. All right.
we extinguish our chalice to the words of Reverend Julianne Lepp, celebrating the diversity of our stories. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May we be reminded that all beings are whole, sacred, and worthy. Let our hearts be welcoming of multiple truths, not holding hard or fast to closed-mindedness or judgmental thinking. What can we learn from each other in the richness of our differences? May the heart of compassion help us recognize the sacred in each other and bridge differences in these challenging times. May each of us be held in relationship, accountability, and the power of beloved community. Blessed be.
Most of the announcements are in the insert in your bulletin or printed order of service. I have a couple to add to that. First of all, you see these lovely poinsettias. They have graced our chancel. Yes, this is called a chancel. For weeks. It's now time for them to find permanent homes elsewhere, and Chris Hill is happy to help you adopt one. So if you're interested in one, here's Chris. He'll be happy to help you out. One of those, however, this one is mine. I also understand it might be Jeff Coleman's birthday. Is it? All right, so let's do it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jeff. Happy birthday to you. Now, don't get your feelings hurt. We don't sing happy birthday for everybody, but Jeff is our current board president, so, you know, there are a few perks, I suppose. All right, so I want to remind you that immediately after the service, and immediately means after you get your coffee and your snack, come back in for the Denominational Research Task Team question and answer session. It will be here. Now, this is different, Marcia. As you exit the sanctuary this morning, we invite you to share your abundance by placing a financial contribution in one of the baskets at the back door, being held by the ushers. Okay. For as you know, you all can say this with me, right? For as you know, generosity is a spiritual practice, one that enlarges the heart and lightens the spirit. For no matter how much or how little we have, in the sharing of it, both the one who gives and the one who receives are blessed. Our benediction this morning comes from one of my guiding texts, Desiderata. You'll see that I have a very large, full picture of that in my office. It was written by Max Ehrman, and I take the first paragraph. Go placidly amidst the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant. They have their story too. May we listen generously to everyone's story. May we be compassionate in our interpretations of each other's words and actions. And may we continue to enjoy being a part of this beloved community. Go in peace. Now look everybody in the eye with